And welcome back to Self-Editing for Writers. In this video, we're taking a look at some of the benefits of editing your own work, as well as a few of the disadvantages. And I will put it out there straight away that there are disadvantages to editing your own work, but it's always best to be prepared for what these are. So you might be able to troubleshoot them along the way. Now, obviously, the biggest benefit of editing your own work is the financial benefit. Self-editing is really cost effective, and if you can get as much done yourself as possible, at the end of the day, that will reduce the cost a little bit later on if you do decide to engage a professional editor. Now, aside from the money, other benefits of doing your own editing include things like retaining control. So a lot of editing, particularly structural editing, can be quite subjective. So for many people, maintaining that control over your voice, your content, your tone, and other factors can be really important. Another benefit is the flexibility and convenience self-editing provides for you. If you're working with a professional editor, you will have to fit in with their schedule and other time constraints because your manuscript is highly unlikely to be the only thing that they are working on at that particular time. Self-editing, however, you set the timetable. It's entirely up to you, and you are the only person you need to answer to. Another benefit is the learning opportunity that is afforded through self-editing and the opportunity for personal or professional growth even. So the more you edit your own work, the more your writing skills improve as you learn to identify and you're more aware of those recurring mistakes or things like repetition or ambiguity. And rather than just identifying them in your work, as you're writing your next manuscript, you will automatically, and trust me on this, but you will automatically sort of edit them out as you're writing. There's also the satisfaction. Now, that's really important. It's that sort of sense of achievement that you can get, and the empowerment and accomplishment as you turn your first draft or your third draft or whatever it happens to be into a polished piece that you are really, really proud to be able to publish. So there are the pros, or a few of them. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, there are a few cons or disadvantages, and it is really important that you are aware of these. So the biggest one, I would say, is probably how time-consuming editing your own work can be. And there is such a thing as revision fatigue. So the more fatigued you get and the more you stick at it, the more likely that your effectiveness is going to be decreased. So it's just something to be mindful of. Another disadvantage that we all have our blind spots, particularly when we're editing our own work, because we've written it, we have an emotional attachment to it, and we also read what we think we've written and the message that we think we've imparted through our writing. So things like that and the deep familiarity that you have with what you've written can lead you to overlooking errors or weaknesses in your own work. Self-editing as well can be quite isolating. So we all know that writing is a very solitary pursuit, and it can be quite lonely at times. And then if you then progress to self-editing and going through that process, you are increasing that isolation. So if you are a people person, you need to take some actions that will actually prevent that feeling from coming upon you. And finally, there is self-awareness, which is not a disadvantage per se, but we do all need to be very realistic about our limitations and our skills, and we need to be really honest with ourselves about what we can and cannot do and what we have the time to do. So while it's great to edit your own work, just being aware of those limitations is really important as well. Now, in the course, I will be covering those disadvantages and giving you some tips on how to deal with them. In the next video, however, which is the last in this introductory series for self-editing for writers, I'm going to give you a quite quick overview of just a few of the self-editing tips that we'll be looking at in the course. So I'll see you over there.